Cut. Hello, my name is Jeffrey Bowie, and I'm here today with my audience members. They're going to be listening to my speech. This is my camera woman, V, and Tang will be helping me pressing the slides. And this is David. He'll be one of the audience members. This is Min. He will be the other audience members. And thank you. Cut. Transition. Hello, my name is Jeffrey Bowie, and I am here today to talk about an issue that has been a huge concern of mine is minimum wage. I feel that minimum wage is currently set to such a low level. I have had experience of how hard it is for minimum wage through my past. My parents were living off paycheck to paycheck in order to let my sister and I have a good education and a good life here in America currently. Yes, and my parents were immigrants from the Vietnam War. And my dad once told me something that I will never forget. Don't let money control you, you control money. But I don't believe that is such a good statement, because let's say if a person does not have enough money, then yes, money will control them. But however, that is a good idea to keep in mind. Most people, when they tend to think about money, they usually think about the good things, benefits, the stuff they can always get with it. They think about, designer stuff. They think about luxury houses. They think about big luxury houses, like the stereotypical American dream. But in reality, money causes a lot of chaos, and I have realized this throughout the years. Through my life and other people's life around me. So currently there is 51% of Americans living in the lower class, and I got this from the tipping point. Most Americans no longer middle class of 2015. There is also less people living in the middle class compared to the previous years. Also from the tipping point, most Americans no longer middle class 2015. And according to this, the tipping point, most Americans no longer middle class in 2015. Work is in favor of the wealthy, not the middle or lower class, so it helps out the upper class people more than it does with the middle and lower class, since they are already born rich or they are already rich. It helps them become even richer. So as you can see, this is a chart that I got from the site, The Tipping Point, Americans no longer middle class 2015. As you can see, this is the lower class numbers from 1971 compared to 2015. There's a drastic difference. In 1971, there's only 33% of people who were living in the lower class, but now there is currently 70% of people living in the lower class. And from 1971, it has gradually fluctuated. So 1971, it was 33%, then it jumped up to 42%. Then in 1991, it jumped up to 50%. Then 2001, 57. 2011, 68, and 2015, 70%. The middle class, however, is doing good. It's fluctuating. The upper and middle class are both fluctuating. That's a good thing because it helps more people get out of the lower class. But however, we want to make the lower class numbers a little lower, since we want to get more people out of the lower sphere and get them to at least middle class or lower middle class, so they don't have as much hardship as they do currently with the current minimum wages. So you might be wondering, what is the minimum wage, set minimum wage for the US currently? Currently the minimum wage is set at $7.25 an hour according to the balance 2018. But according to the balance 2018, in January 2018, it says that the minimum wages should be, or will be increased to $10.35 an hour. However, I still feel, or I have calculated, that this will not be enough for people to survive. According to the rent 2018, an average rent for an apartment currently is about $3,000 a month. And I did some calculations. Let's say if a person works 40 hours a week, so 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, the person will earn about $1,160 a month with a minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. Most likely, the person will have to work 2 or 3 jobs. Why? Because of the $1,160. That's not even half of the amount of money they have to pay for rent. And let's not forget about the other variables, such as they have to pay for insurance, they have to pay for their medical insurance, their car insurance, other insurance needs they may have. They may have to pay for gas and water bills, maybe even electric bills. They might have to pay for phone bills, or have a prepaid phone, or purchase a phone in order to communicate with people to go to work. Or they even have to pay for a car, and if they don't even have a car, they might have to pay for, let's say, a bus pass to get to work, or even they have to pay for money for the Uber or the taxi they are using to get to work that day. So what other options do these people have if they don't have enough money? So currently, these people are relying money off of the government, and people use things such as food stamps and Medicaid to cover for insurance, or Medicare to cover for insurance needs, or even food needs. So that could help them with a little bit of the fees. According to we've crossed the tipping point. Most American now receives government benefits. 2015, about 49.2% of people in 2011 are using government's money, but in 2015 it has risen up to 52% and is continuously growing right now. However, President Trump is currently cutting back on these benefits and the government support for the lower income people. And he's also making the strict and requirements, he's making the requirements more strict on the people and how they could apply for the requirements. Now it's going to be a little bit more like secure than before. So you may be wondering, where does our money really go to? Currently in the United States itself, we are in $20 trillion in debt. According to the U.S. is now over $20 trillion in debt. Here's how it's got there in 2018. But most of this money comes from military usage. According to the U.S. Is now over $20 trillion in debt, and here's how we got there in 2018. As you can see, in 1980s, our debt was pretty low. Then it gradually became higher. Up to 2003, the Bush era tax cut, there was a little bit of a drop, but then it fluctuated due to the Iraq War and the Afghanistan War. And after that, in 2009, it started to grow even more due to the Great Depression, the Great Recession, my bad, in 2007 of December. And currently January 2017, it's starting to level out, or the plan is to level out these economic crises. So the cost of the two wars, or of spending the money on Afghanistan and Iraq in 2001 to 2016 is currently $805 billion for the Iraq War and $783 billion for the Afghanistan War. So do you guys have any questions?
Yes. So I was wondering, what is your solution towards this problem?
So my solution, or what I believe that we could do to help this economic crisis, is we should cut back on these military fundings and focus more on making programs such as like job finding programs, or making programs that could help people find jobs easier, or even raising up the minimum wage a little bit more so these people have a better chance to survive. And or another thing, what we could do is, instead of doing international trading and getting goods from other countries such as China, Vietnam, Bangladesh, all those other countries, we should focus more on making everything local in the U.S. in order to create more jobs for the people inside the U.S. Any more questions? No, thank you. Thank you for being at my speech. Cut.
Oh my goodness, you